Hello and welcome to my world of crochet. My name is Dina and today I'm here with you for another yarn talk video. And as always, we can't talk about yarns without me having my faithful mug of tea here. And today this tea is the Lipton Russian Earl Grey, which basically is a classic Earl Grey with the flavor of bergamot as usual, but also having an added flavor of lemon. Quite lovely, fresher version of an Earl Grey, and I do admit I enjoy it quite a bit. Lots of things have happened since last week's yarn talk video, and I've finished up 2 projects, and I haven't started on news, amazingly enough. I want to, but I am trying to keep my reins in a little bit, because I still have other projects I also want to finish, but we are of course gonna talk about that during the during the yarn talk here. And this is basically, I finished a cowl in the Anemone version, and I finished the red summer shopper bag that I was working on. But before we're heading into these projects, I'm just gonna say I had ordered a new phone and I did get it. But I'm still working on finding the right settings for recording and so on, because I've done some recordings and I find I turn out pretty white, like as it's overexposing me for correcting for lighting or something like that. I do hope I found the right settings for this video. We will find out once I am done recording, but that is also one of the reasons that it has been a little bit delayed here on Friday, but it's still posted on Friday, so we are all fine, right? So I finished the summer shopper bag. That was the first project that I finished last week, and I finished this absolutely gorgeous red summer shopper bag. Right now it's not much in it. I do enjoy how this one worked up. It is made in the Hobbies We Love Yarn 100% recycled acrylic. Classic bottom, half double crochets here, and then we do the cross double crochet stitch up here to make this pattern. Then I did a row of half doubles and a row of singles. Then we worked half doubles on this on the hank strap, and slowly decreased. Then we did 10 stitches of half doubles, etc. And then we started increasing again, and then when we are back out to the 18, we sewed it together, and you can barely see the seam here. So I am really satisfied with how the end result of this is. And compared to the other summer shopper bag I made, I did add one more row of increases in the very bottom, so it does have more stitches total in the round. I used almost 6 skeins, so there is almost, what would that be, 3.5, 7, 10.5 ounces of yarn here, about 10 ounces or so. Compared to the other one I made in the value cotton yarn, this seems a bit softer and a little bit like, I wouldn't say thinner, but it's definitely less stiff compared to, this is the original one I made, and that is definitely a different cotton material, where this one is somewhat more flexible and sturdy. I did about the same amount of stitches for the straps, and yeah, let's see if I can get up here. So that is basically how it would be looking here. I did add it longer than the original pattern says, because I do like that I have a bit of room under here for if it's filling up. And it also allows you to wear a coat or a jacket if it's cold. So yeah, I think it resulted really nicely, to be honest. I am super pleased, and as said, I did have a little left. This is the yarn I had left, colorway 9, dark red is what I made this one in. So about a quarter left, and of this yarn, I don't know what I'm gonna make of it yet. I do think that I might use it to make some keychains or something like that. You know, I have these small keychain clasps. Sorry, just a moment. I have one right here. So they aren't big, but you can insert something here. You can hang it onto your keychains, and I can make some sort of small macrame or small crochet key ring. Is an idea. It could turn into something else. I'm not sure yet, but it's at least my solution for if I have some of these cotton yarns I'm not sure what to use for. That could be the way or the route to go. The benefit of this being in cotton is, of course, that the yarn doesn't stretch in the same way as for example, the acrylic would do. So it will be more sturdy. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, and I am going to make one more bag of these, but a 2-color toned one. But I'm not planning on starting on it this week, I think. But I might start on it next week, and that's simply due to scheduling and private life. The colors I want to do the 2-toned in is the sand and the beige. And this would be the sand color, which is the colorway, I do believe it's colorway 4. Yes, colorway 4. And the beige is colorway 3. So these two I would want to combine to actually make this summer shower bag. I do have the feeling right here is the better, because if I go too close, it seems a bit more true to color. I do want to use the sand one at the bottom of the bag, because of course if you place a bag on something and it goes dark or dirty, it will show less on the sand, I believe, than the off-white. So then towards top it will go into this sandy color. So the idea is basically to slowly blend it from one to the other somehow. I have an idea of the design. So the place of these cross doubles will be a bit more of a stripy pattern, and as said, I am curious as to how this is going to work out, but I do have ideas. I have 4 skeins of each, if I remember right, so that should be more than enough to get me to the very end of this, and I would still have some left for some future project. Who knows what that is going to be. But yeah, that is future plans. But I'm not thinking that I'm going to start on that project this week. Simply because I have things coming up this weekend. It is tempting though, but there's a place where I think it would be more suitable. And I do want to finish some other projects that I also currently have going, and that has been in the pipeline for a bit. So yeah. Let's see, I'm just trying to keep track of what we talked about. I finished the cowl, the Anemone Cowl. So it's a drops pattern, except that I do work it differently from that pattern. So overall, I just use the raw idea of it. It is a star stitch. I made a headband of it about 2 weeks ago that ended up like this. I found out working it in the round really made a nicer result. So this is the headband worked in the round. And then, working in the round. But when I'm working in the round, I would do one round for the star stitches, and the half doubles, I will work the opposite round to get the same feeling as working back and forth, that show. But I'm not working it as one long panel where I then have to sew it together. I work it 100% in the round because I feel that the result of how it's put together, you will see it if you look for it, but it is a lot less visible than when I had to physically actually sew the whole piece together. So I think it looks so much nicer worked up like in the round. So I started on the cowl after I had bought 2 skeins of the Narco Bonjour, because it would take about a skein and a half to complete the cowl, and here we have the final result. I finished the cowl, the last 2.5 rounds of this cowl, or last 2.5 rounds of the start stitches, during this week's live, which I went live Wednesday afternoon, and the final result is here. I have 49 grams left, so that is literally 1 gram less than half. Nago Bonjour is the yarn. I still have one more skein, which is the one I had from already purchased, so I will have the opportunity to make more headbands, which I'm likely going to use because I'm not really sure what else to use this yarn for right now. So I do believe that is the route I will be going. So I will be making probably about 3 headbands. I think I can get about 2 headbands out of each. And then I of course also have this more like a dusty pink that I want to do it with. And yeah, I actually plan to sort of start on that this week as well. But I changed my mind because I came to the idea that I could actually make 2 headbands, one in blue and one in this dusty pink, to send as Christmas presents to my cousin, the daughters of my cousin. Because their favorite colors happens to be light blue or blue and pink. So that seems like the perfect idea. I just need to get some sizes obtained. And once I have those, I can quickly whip up each of those presents and I can get them shipped off to Denmark, which is where they are. But as I said, I do really enjoy the result of this. So what I want to do is I'm going to show you guys how this is looking at me. And I do, it's obviously way more than needed, so to say, way more rows, but that makes it possible for you to kind of hide and comfy in it. And I'm afraid I might not take it off once I've been in here with you guys. But as you can see, it covers up nicely. So if you have a good jacket that covers you as well, this cowl will definitely do the trick. It will help keep you warm. And then you can combine it nicely with the headband. And my hairdo might be totally off once I'm taking off this. But Mother Winter, you can come. I really enjoy the kind of look and the fact that you can combine these if you want. Or even almost make a baklava type of feeling here, like you like have a winter jacket, capuchon on top. Yeah, I think we're good. I'm ready for winter like this, or someone will be. Who knows? I think that works out really, really nicely. To be honest, I am pretty pleased. I am pretty pleased. So, and my hairdo actually stayed nice. So that worked up really nicely. I have to say it did take longer to crochet than I had imagined, but it is because this yarn has a little tight tendency of wanting to split. But yeah, so I'm definitely gonna make some more hairbands, and I'm maybe, who knows, making more cowls. But right now, if I'll make more cowls, that's not gonna be anytime soon. But I do want to use up this yarn and make hairbands from these because, well, yeah, that's just what's going to happen. So having finished 2 projects means that I only have 3 ongoing projects that I'm currently actively working on. Technically, I do have 4 because I still have the Firefly Sweater laying where I need to block the front and back panel. To ensure the sizing is correct, at least that they are both equal, etc. And then I need to look into sewing them together and then figuring out how I'm going to exactly attack and do those sleeves. But right now, I'm not having those pieces blocked yet. Maybe next week. It kind of depends on how things go. It leaves me left with 3 projects I'm, as I said, actively working on, where I usually talk about them in a chronological order. And that means when I started working on them, and the one I started working on the longest ago is the one I talk about first. And in this event, that would be the Fleur Mosaic blanket. And that blanket is designed by Anke Wintermans. She's a Dutch designer. absolutely gorgeous designs. You can find her designs on Ravelry. I've linked to where I bought the pattern here in the description box down below. I did also buy the pack of yarn as a yarn pack from Volplane. It's a Dutch yarn store. I do believe they are called Yarn Plaza in English. YarnPlaza.com or something like that. You can buy the Stylecraft Special DK as a pack and get it sent to you. And they do offer you the different color choices as well as the options for what you can do in. But you can of course also crochet the Mosiac blanket in any other yarn. That is, if you do use a yarn that's thicker than the DK yarn, do expect the blanket to be evenly also bigger in size. I am using a 4mm crochet hook to work on this pattern with because the Stylecraft Special DK calls for a 4mm crochet hook. What I have done is that I've caked up those skeins because I am using this a yarn holder for when I'm actively working on the project to easier keep track of my yarns rather than jumping around, etc. I am now at row 55. I finished row 55 since last time, so I didn't do a lot. One of the reasons for that is obviously I finished 2 projects of other types. And I've always said, you know, this blanket is not my priority to finish right now. Therefore, it's just, you know, a project I work on when I feel like working on it. But with the whole row 55 complete, this is kind of what we are looking at. This is the size. Lovely Bordeaux red. Now we're working with the claret as a background. The front color is the cream. And the Stylecraft Special DK is a premium acrylic yarn that's produced in Turkey. Here we have one of the labels. You might recognize it. It's basically a yarn that's quite often sold in the UK because the Stylecraft is a UK brand. 100 gram skeins, so 3.5 ounce skeins to 295 meters, which is about 322 yards. So it's 100% premium acrylic, a DK yarn. Further than that, nothing fancy about it. I have my little list of notes as to help me keep track on which row I am at, and I'm about to begin on row 56, which is where I will start working with the cream again. And the back side, of course, is this opposite. You can see basically the negative part of the front side. The back side is not what we're going to be looking at. We are looking at the front piece, and I have not decided if I will put on a piece of fabric on the back side to kind of cover that up, or if I want to let it show and whatnot. So that is kind of like, you know, a future, I wouldn't say headache, but it's a future decision at least. So that is basically what's going on here. I'm just working in round for round. That said, I am getting to a stage where I either need a new project crate or I need to figure out how to stash this project temporary while working on it. And maybe I just need a bigger crate. It's a good excuse for needing a bigger crate or box, right? And then I can use this box for another project. Hey, good idea. So we are progressing nicely. Oh, I don't need to forget my hook to put that back into the crate. It's progressing nicely, and I'm pretty satisfied generally with the progress. Row 55 sounds like we are pretty close to halfway because it's 129 rows in total. But that said, every row I do increase the row count by 8, or well, not. There are 2 increases in each end of a row multiplied by 4 for the whole round. So the whole round increased by 8 stitches. So every round I make, I do 8 more stitches every round. So it is more and more work the further I get out. And I still need to keep track on where I've done specific things. It is slowly getting so big that I can't easily sit with it. It just takes up space. That's as simple as it goes, right? The next project that I started working on is the Thoughts of Ireland shawl, and that is by Drops Design. So that is a free pattern you can find on Garn Studio. Garn Studio is the website of Drops. There is probably some designer somewhere, but Drops doesn't mention a physical name for that. And I am working in the DROPS Alpaca yarn, which is a gorgeous label. Oh, we have a focus issue here, but I think you've got it. It's a gorgeous label because I really love this alpaca friend. 1.8 ounce skeins to 167 meters, so that's 183 yards, 100% alpaca. It is this heathered green that I'm working with. So this is just one of the skeins that I'm currently working on. As you can see, this absolutely gorgeous green. I am just going to see, this is the front side. So I am missing 8 rows in total to be finished with this shawl. It seems like it's not that big yet, but I think this is because this is a shawl, it really needs blocking. I'm using a D hook, so that's a 3.25 millimeter crochet hook. And as I said, it needs blocking because this just looks so much nicer when blocked. Oh my goodness. Need to keep track of yarn here. This is where we are at, right? And when I look at the photo, it looks much bigger, but of course there's still 8 rows to go. But also, I think it's fair to say that this does curl up, so it can stretch for a bit. So I need a woolen detergent for blocking. I'm going to give it a light wash, basically a hand wash, and then I'll be spreading it out on my foam mat once this is complete with those 8 rows. And then we will see how big it is. What I really want to do is I really hope I can finish up this shawl within not too long. I had a hope somehow that I would do it last week, but every time I have a hope that it's gonna progress quicker than I do. Maybe I will be done for next week's yarn talk video. That seems to be the most obvious project to have finished because I haven't started any new ones yet. I do have some plans, but I do believe I might want to put in some focus on getting this one finished. Simply because, well, it's kind of getting time. You know, we've been working on each other for a bit. And once I'm done with this Thoughts of Aranel Shawl, I will be starting on a new project from Drops with Drops yarns. And since the Drops pattern sometimes can be tricky to understand and read, I have this promise with myself, only work on one project at a time. The next Drops project I will be working on is yet undecided, and I will have my channel members voting on a poll where you can help me decide what Drops project will be my next project that I will have to be working on. So you have the chance to influence me a bit. So I will give you like probably 3 options or something like that. And then based on that, we will make a choice, right? Last time when I started working on this, we had a tie and I ended up deciding it in a live based between those 2 ties. Maybe this time around we won't have a tie and you will actually just be able to clearly say, hey, Stine, I think you should work on that pattern. And then that will be the next project I will be working on from the Drops series. I also progressed on the Aranel Shawl. The Aranel Shawl also is an alpaca yarn shawl, so to say, because it's made in the, I wouldn't say Wheel of Alpaca. Well, it's designed in the Wheel of Alpaca by Hobby, by K.A.M.E Crochet. So it's also a hobby pattern. I do believe she also sells a pattern on Ravelry, so you can get it on Ravelry. But if you do have Hobby Plus, you can download it for free from Hobby. I'm not using the Wheel of Alpaca from Hobby to use for this project. I am using the YarnArt Flowers Alpaca, which is basically, if I wouldn't know better, the exact same yarns because the yarn specs are 100% the same. And they even have a few of the colors I would say are the same, but generally they do have different color selections, which I think is really nice. And it is a wonderful yarn to work with. I am working it up in a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. So that is my, it does say 7. I'm not really sure what that means, but it's my 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. Pattern calls for 4 millimeter hook, but my 4 millimeter hook is in the box of my Fleur Mosiac blanket. So I decided to hook up a bit. Also, I did test the 4 and I find the look nicer with a 4.5. Plus I know that my tension is a little bit slighter than average, right? So the 4.5 works up really nicely. I am working from the center. This is how this gain is looking. So I'm working from in the gray towards the teal. YarnArt Flowers Alpaca. I'm not gonna take it out of this project crate because if I do, eventually it will all clash together and I will have a big yarn tangle. So I do hope hope for your understanding and respect regarding that. This yarn is 20% alpaca and 80% acrylic. It's 250 grams, so that's 8.8 ounces. And it is, I do believe it's 940 meters. Just a moment, it's somewhere here. It should be somewhere. It's not saying, it's hiding. Oh, it's here. 940 meters, which is 1,027 yards. So it's a decent sized cake. I've worked with it before when I made my inlines poncho, which is, oh, it's the most wonderful warm poncho. I should be wearing it. It's really getting poncho weather because autumn has hit. Here it is, it's winter time. So we changed time last weekend. So right now there is only a 5 hours difference between us and the US until the US change for the daylight savings. But the Aranel Shawl is currently looking like this. And what I'm doing is very simple actually. Here on this side, we have a fan of bubble stitches, puff stitches. So what I do is here, I chain one, which is not counted as a stitch. Then I do a half double crochet in that first stitch. Then I skip 2 and I work in 3 bubble stitches. Then I skip 2 and then I work half doubles all the way to the other end, where I in the very last stitch work in 2 half double crochets. And then I turn around, work in a chain, 1 chain to get the height, but doesn't count as a stitch. 2 double crochets in that very last stitch, and then 1 double crochet in each of the stitches all the way back to this, and we repeat. And that I have to do for the first like 144 rounds. The only difference is the very beginning. Here there's a few times where you don't do the bubbles yet. That first comes after a bit, but that's like I think 7 rows or something like that. So I still have a bit to go. I do need to probably count to see how far I am. And this project is probably a project I would bring with me in the car this weekend, because on Sunday I will not be, well, I will be home, but I will not be home the whole day. And we will have a period where we will be driving, and that will be a couple of hours. And that seems like a good project to actually bring with me, because I can easily sit in the car and work and crochet on this. And you can actually see it has been changing color, right? We have a darker gray up here. It goes lighter and it goes even lighter. And I do hope we can get it even a little bit lighter before heading off Sunday. Because if it's too dark, and it might be dark because we have to drive early in the morning, then I can't really see what I'm doing. And then this is not the best project to bring with me. If that's not the case, then I may bring this summer shopper bag with me instead. At least that is the first thoughts I have in mind right now. But it's long not Sunday yet, so I do still have the chance to do a few more rows of this to get into a bit more brighter grays, right? So that is my first thinking of a car project right now, because it's still not too big that it's unpractical to work on. And I have been working on it sometimes in the evening when I've been watching TV. Maybe not a lot of rows, but a little bit here and there. So that's been nice. We also talked about me wanting to start a new project, and I do have the right project in mind. My only question, of course, is always, do I have enough yarn to complete it? I need about 200 yards-ish to complete it, which should be enough with one of my hand-dyed skeins of 100% superwash merino wool. And that is also what I ideally want to use, because I did find a pattern designed by Crystal from Back O Day. And they are using the exact same yarn, or she's using the exact same yarn for her project, which is the Gazelle Unicorn hand-dyed 100% superwash merino wool. But I want to first see if I can actually work up this pattern and if I can make it look nicely. And then I don't want to spend the more expensive hand-dyed yarns I have. I'd rather want to use my value yarn to work up the hat and see how it works up. And if that works up really nicely, then I will take up one of my hangs. I will put it on my Swift, which I haven't used yet, but I did get it as a birthday present, which is almost, it's on my birthday's in January. So I really should be using it, right? It's getting time, so I need to work it up and put the yarn on the Swift and wind it up to a cake. But as I said, I first want to use the value yarn to use this to work up this crochet hat. And it doesn't have a name, it's just named the crochet hat. I will try to link to that YouTube video here in the description box down below if I do not forget it. And the yarns that I want to test run the pattern with is the Lena yarn from Vibra. It is an acrylic wool blend. It's super soft. I like the coloring. It's this nice beige, neutral beige color. 80% acrylic, 20% wool. It's not scratchy. It is quite soft for what it is. I can definitely feel-wise compare it a bit to this superwash baby merino. It's made in Turkey. It recommends a 5.5 to 6 millimeter crochet hook. It is 3.5 ounce skein to 170 meters. 170 meters is about 190 yards. So I'm kind of hoping that even though it says about 200 yards, then I will have enough here. If I don't, in worst case, I do have more, not from this color, but I could probably get that by going to the city if I wanted to, and maybe I do have time to do so. But I do have a white laying up there in the same type of yarn. I also have a gray and a blue, and I might even consider doing the gray and the blue work into one, because she also has a nice example in the same of using two yarns that's working up a two-toned one, which I think is a really gorgeous concept as well. So maybe that could be what I'll be doing if I won't have enough yarn, but we will see how far we get. The thing I will be doing though is I will be caking up this, because I do prefer working from cakes rather than pull skeins. I always end up with yarn buff, that's just how it is. So this is what I want to make the test hat in. And if I have enough yarn here, I should definitely also easily have enough yarn with my Gazelle yarns. We do know, based on the fact that Crystal makes one in one skein of Gazelle, that I have enough in one skein. I haven't decided how the color choices will be from that Gazelle yarn yet, but I have one in orange, which is this absolutely gorgeous Hank. And the Gazelle yarn it's an Oeko-Tex branded yarn. It's the unicorn. Let's say they recommend to wash after knitting. They recommend 5 to 6 millimeter needle / hook. And this is the colorway, should say somewhere, 1352, 100% superwash merino wool. It is 100 grams, so 3.5 ounces to 197 meters, which is 215 yards. It's gorgeous. And it feels nice. And it doesn't have this strong woolly smell either. It's just this nice. I also have more like a hay colored, a haze color, like hay yellow, hay green. Here, mustardy maybe even, you could say. Which can easily also be combined should I want to make this color combination, because they do allow for the option here. They definitely do. Absolutely gorgeous. The yellow is yellow green, heathered yellow is the colorway. Let's see if I can find that. I should be able to somewhere. What? oh, here, oil yellow it's called. And the oil yellow is 1344. And then we have these two as well. And this is, let's see, they don't actually have a name, but it's 355. And yeah, same yarn specs. 2 hacks of those. So the thing is, of course, I had this great idea that I could combine them all to one nice project. I think the orange were way more orange, even though that if you look at these, they do have some more orange flavored in, but they are more green and yellows, where I think this is a much better match. And then I had the idea I could make much more of it, but reality is I can't make as much as I thought, and then, well, I will have to make hats from it. And I do want to do this winter because it's a good time for hat making, and I want to see how popular it could be, making these hand-dyed yarn, 100% superwash merino hats. It could be really warm. Would it be attractive enough? Because if it is, then I might order some more of this Gazelle unicorn yarn. It's just gorgeous, right? It's really, really gorgeous, I have to say. Let's see if we can have them up like this. Such a gorgeous yarn. And soft. So before I start working on the Gazelle yarns, I'm going to test the pattern with the Vibralina yarn, which is a much more value yarn compared to. So I will feel less bad if it just doesn't work up nice and right. Yeah, if you enjoy talking about yarns, and if you like this yarn talk video, if you want to keep following that easily and you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. It's just down below. Hit the like button, that really does support me. Turn on the notification with the little bell, because then you will get notified whenever I do post new videos. I'm going to say from here out and out, take care and happy crafting, and I'm looking forward to see you on Monday, where I will be showing you an absolutely amazing deal that I found on the Facebook Marketplace. So, over and out. Bye.